Hello, my name is Alexandra Riggs, and today we are going to go over Marshall's 7 tips from the highly effective teacher. Tip number 1 is coherent connected learning progression. The goal of tip number 1 is teachers need to be creating lessons that are structured in a logical order and state clear objectives, and every part has a clear, purposeful intentions. So a breakdown of this is making sure to reflect on your lessons, and they make sure they go in order. Each step of the lesson has meaning that goes to the objectives. Most teachers start with the objectives at the beginning of the lessons. They're clearly stated for students to see, hear, and read. And this makes an overall general lesson that is tied to the objective and makes sure that everything is connected towards it and the learning of the students. Tip number 2. This is strategies, resources, and technology that enhances learning. So something that really stood out from the book to me, and it really speaks volume amongst the divide of is technology good, is technology bad? From Marshall's book, the point is that no technology is inherently good or bad. Rather, it is the application of the technology tool that matters. So, there you have it. It is how you use technology and how you use resources in your classroom, if they're good or bad. If they enhance your learning, they're great. But resources and technology are tools to be used alongside teaching. They should not replace teaching. If they engage students and they are powerful and impact powerful into the lesson, then I would use them. Tip number 3 is safe, respectful, well-organized learning environment. So, in order for a student to learn in your classroom, they must feel safe, comfortable in the classroom, because once they feel safe and comfortable, then they can learn. Safety comes first. Then, for interactions between you and your students, students to students, there must be an understanding of respect and how it goes both ways, and everyone needs to be respectful of one another for participation and interactions to happen professionally. Also, your classroom and lessons, like I said earlier, need to be well organized. Have a clean classroom. Let students know where materials are. Keep it neat and tidy. Also, organize your lessons effectively and keep those things looking nice so there's less confusion for the students. Tip number 4. This is challenging, rigorous learning experiences. This is something that's really big at my high school. Typically every PD at the end, we always end with how can we make our classes more rigorous for students. First, you kind of have to, in tip 4, connecting content to the students gets them engaged and they start to buy into what you are teaching about. So first step, make sure the students have something that they can connect to with your content. Once you get them connected, they're going to start engaging more. And when they have those personal connections, the teacher can start raising the bar and adding the challenge. The challenge should be hard, but still achievable with the support of the teacher or the support of their peers. Once students start building this confidence in themselves, the rigor level can gradually go up, and performance will still grow because they understand what they're capable of, and they will not want to let themselves down. They will continue to raise the bar and raise the bar because they're gaining more and more confidence. Tip number 5, interactive and thoughtful learning. So for teaching professionals, that means learning when and where to be more extroverted and when and where to be more introverted. Marshall 2016, page 1101. It's really easy for you to fall into what you're comfortable with as a teacher, maybe being extroverted or introverted, but you have to realize that all of your students either have a mix of these characteristics or lean more one-sided versus the other. But in tip 5, the goal was about how important it is to interact with all of your students, no matter introverted or extroverted. Teachers can have a variety of extroverts, introverts, and a combination of these traits in students. Each type of student thrives in different ways. So, in the classroom, it is important to give experiences in which every student has an opportunity to shine, and also feel a little bit uncomfortable. So they get used to that in the classroom, because it's going to be in the workforce, and it's really good for them to have experiences in both. Tip 6. This is the creative and problem-solving culture. So, instead of seeking ways to avoid errors during the process of learning, maybe we should celebrate them, because sometimes learning involves growing from our errors, provided we are willing to recognize them and work to improve. Marshall's 2016, page 1312. So, there is this concept around errors and how they are bad and failure is bad. But once we kind of get past this and you build a culture in your classroom where if you fail, you just get back up and you try again. Instead of being discouraged, you quit. We want to encourage them to keep going. It creates problem-solving techniques, peer-to-peer help, mentoring help, and creative solutions on how to fix the failures. So in tip 6, the goal in the classroom is to develop students to become creative, critical thinkers, and to have them question more and seek answers. Always having students ask questions means they're curious. Teachers need to foster curiosity in their class and turn the connotations around errors and failure into positivity. Once we have this, everything is endless and people start thinking outside the box. And finally, we have tip number 7. This is monitoring, assessment, and feedback that guide and inform instruction and learning. There's a great quote from the book. The critical point is to make sure that you gather meaningful data from all students regularly throughout the learning process. What this means is how you can gather meaningful data is through assessment, specifically formative assessments. They should happen frequently, and when they happen, they help the teachers and the students guide what they know and what might need some more work and attention on. After a formative assessment, it is important and vital for teachers to give purposeful feedback. So not just like, oh, you got it right or wrong. Feedback on the question in a timely manner to correct and fix any misunderstandings. The timely manner is also really important because this feedback is vital on them moving to the next step. If the feedback is not given in a timely manner, then the student falls behind in their learning and feels behind, and sometimes they shut down, they quit because they feel like they're too far behind. But when it is given in a timely manner, the student can quickly fix what they don't understand, get back on track with their peers, and move on together as a class. So that is the last tip. Now we have part 2. Oh, here's the references from The Highly Effective Teacher from Marshall. Part number 2 is our schedule for the school year of 2024 to 2025 in the Olathe Public School District. Starting off, we will be doing these tips a little out of order based on importance. September 3rd, we are going to go over in more detail tip 3. Then we have October 11th, we're going to go back to tip 1. Then 2025, January 3rd, we're going to skip to tip 5. In the same month, January 6th, we're going to go next to tip 6. Next month, February 7th, we'll go with tip 7. Skip a month or two, and we're going to go to April 25th, and we're going to go all the way back to tip 2. And then to end it off, we are going to be on May 23rd, roughly around the end of the year, and we are going to go over tip 4. And this is the schedule. We will meet at Olathe West High School, room 1524. And the third part of this is the tip mastery rubric. Here you will clearly see on the left-hand side tip 1 through 7. And then if you follow across horizontally, these are the separate categories. There is needs improvement and a description, proficiency, and then a description, exemplary, and the description. And then the following column is additional comments made by the teacher that is observing, just in case it doesn't fit in the rubric. Then we have part 4, and this is the feedback questionnaire to help the teacher and to help the observing teacher understand what they learned, what they knew, and what they can improve on. So we have 6 questions here to be answered. Number 1, we got, which tip do you think you could effectively incorporate already in your classroom, and how do you use it? Then we have, which tip did you gain the most new knowledge from, and what part was new? What tip did you think you needed more support in, and how can I help you? Give an example of a way you have started using the tip information. Please leave a comment on how well this information was taught to you. What is a goal you have now to start implementing into your classroom after learning all 7 tips? A copy of this will be given to the observing teacher and the teacher themselves, just for feedback on both sides, so everybody can be lifelong learners and move on and keep reflecting and editing until we get to a mastery level. But this is my entire tip presentation. Thank you so much for listening, and that is it.